that anything he said is true. I've passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history. We find ourselves, and by the way,
he's dying.
Black colleges.
He's dead.
I came up with $15 billion for HBCUs,
he's so
historic
dead.
black universities and colleges, because they don't have those. They don't have the kind of contributors that they have to build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in college of doing any white student can do. They just don't have the money, but now they'll be able to get those jobs in high tech. We're in a situation where the idea that he is claiming to have done something that had the cleanest water, he hadn't done a damn thing for the environment. He pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord. I immediately joined it, because if we reach 1.5 degrees Celsius at any one point, there's no way back. The only existential threat to humanity is climate change, and he didn't do a damn thing about it. He must undo all that I've done.
The Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion, and China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing. It was a ripoff of the United States. And I ended it because I didn't want to waste that money, because they treat us horribly. We were the only ones. It was costing us money. Nobody else was paying into it. And it was a disaster. But everything that he said just now, I'll give you an example. I heard him say before insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors. I took care of the seniors. What he's doing is destroying all of our medical programs, because the migrants coming in, they want everybody. And look, I have the biggest heart on the stage, I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security.
What are you saying,
Social
bro?
Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
The idea is that we, in fact, we were the only ones of consequence who were not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything if we're not able to, the United States can't get its pollution under control? One of the largest polluters in the world, number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half. We have made significant progress, and we're continuing to make progress. We set up a climate corps for thousands of young people who will learn how to deal with climate, just like the Peace Corps. And we're moving in directions that are going to significantly change the elements of cause of pollution. But the idea that he claims that he has the biggest heart up here and he's really concerned about pollution and about climate, I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
so every day, millions of Americans struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut in just over 10 years. Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now, everybody making under $170,000
Come on, this is good.
pays 6% of their
Good
income,
policy talk.
of their
Raise the
paycheck.
cap. Raise the
Every
cap.
single time they get a paycheck is the time the first one they get when they're 18 years old.
He's gonna give
The
a Twitch
idea
Prime
that
to
they're
every
not-
Social
I'm
Security
not
recipient,
proposing that.
so they don't see the
Everybody
3-minute ad break at the top of the hour.
The millionaires pay 1%.
Twitch Prime is free,
1%.
folks.
So no one after
Ad break incoming.
not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, I began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other measures that you think that would be able to help keep Social Security solvent, or is that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent, but the biggest thing I'll do if we defeat
This was good.
man,
This was a good answer.
because he wants to get
I
rid
wish
of
he
Social
did this
Security.
more.
He thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare, both times. And and if you look at the program put forward by the House Republican caucus that I believe supports, is in fact want to cut it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors.
It took
is
him 2
ridiculous.
hours to get there, but he did it.
And by the way, the American public
fuck it
has
up.
greater health care coverage today than ever before. And on the ACA, as I said, you're in a circumstance where 400,000 people, 40 million people would not have insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. Only thing that allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they, in fact, are part of the ACA. And by the way, the other thing is, we're in a situation where we talk about education for black communities. I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants by another $8,000. So anybody making under $70,000 a year is going to be able to get $15,000 toward their tuition. He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He can look you in the face. About so many other things, too. And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country, and they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our hospitals. They're taking the place of our citizens. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street, and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden.
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he said...
This motherfucker doesn't give a shit about veterans, by the way. It's so fucking frustrating.
That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it.
Fuck that general, bro. Shut up about the general. Address the fucking immigrant situation, please.
All these millions and millions, the way he talks about it, illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world, the reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. We're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession and inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
President Biden, thank you so much. Let's turn to the cost of child care, which many American families struggle to afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost of child care in this country has risen to more than $11,000.
Trump speaks, lowers volume. Yeah, okay, dude. Yeah, I'm really biased here.
For 2 children is more.
That's why I spend most of the time fucking shitting on Biden,
what would you
dumbass.
do to make child care more affordable?
They both suck. Stupid.
The general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other thing is, he doesn't fire people. He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You'd pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put him there. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with that the Afghanistan horror show, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons?
He's right. You should have fired the entire CBP and also Greg Abbott.
Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed? Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now, all of a sudden, he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit, like this much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins
the
this
question was
election,
childcare.
Our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance.
What would Trump do to make childcare more affordable?
We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how bad it is. He is the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We're the most admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity.
Not
We're the
anymore.
finest military in the
Not
history of the
anymore.
world.
They're looking at
The
this and
finest in the
going,
history of the
oops,
world.
nah.
No one thinks we're weak. No one.
Yeah,
wants to
no,
screw
totally,
around with us.
dude. We look
Nobody.
super strong
Number
right
one.
now.
Number two, the idea
Clown show.
that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up. Go online. 159 or 58, don't hold me the exact number, presidential historians.
Bro, that's
They've
not-
had meetings.
who
and they voted
cares?
Who's the worst president in American history? Best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted.
Bro,
The
why
idea
is he
is
so
knowing
coherent
doing
when
anything to
talking
deal
about
with it.
historians, presidential
He did
scholars,
very
but not about abortion? I'm going to fucking
We should
die.
significantly increase the child care tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go back to work. And we should encourage businesses to have
Thank you, President
child care
Biden.
facilities.
President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make child care more affordable, if you want to take your minute.
Just so you understand, we have polling, we have other things that they rate him the worst because what he's done is so bad. And they rate me, I'll show you, I will show you, and they rate me one of the best, okay? And if I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this
Including
before.
the two of you.
All my life, I'd grow up and I'd see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about. He's increased the tariff. He will increase the taxes on middle class people. I said I'd never raise a tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. But this tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming in the country. You know what the economists say?
Bro,
That's
you
gonna
want to
cost
do
the average
tariffs.
American $2,500 a year more because they're going to have to pay the difference in food and all the things that were imported. Number two, he's in a situation where he talks about how he has not raised, he's somehow helped the middle class. The middle class have been devastated by you. Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt the country. You had the largest deficit of any president in American history, number one. Number two, you have not, in fact, made any contact, any progress with China. We are the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you,
We're at the
President
highest.
Biden.
You lost
Thank you, President
$160.
Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term.
TikTok.
The opioid crisis. And for both of you, the
woke
number
mind
of
virus.
overdose deaths in this
Fuck it.
country has gone up. Under your term, it went up. Under your term, it has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with them or something. But do you notice he never took out my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries, and there was more to come, but he hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the worst situation with China. China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost
The
3 years
COVID.
of, like nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way. And then we had to get tough. And it was the drugs pouring across the border were it started to increase. We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot.
What?
And we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the numbers now? It's not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low, because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways. But the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you. President Biden?
Fentanyl and the byproducts of fentanyl went down for a while. And I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl, these big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together.
Bro, this motherfucker thinks everything is because of immigrants, by the way. Trump.
More be able to detect drugs, more numbers of agents, more numbers of all the people at the border. And when we had that deal done, he called his Republican colleagues, said, don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically. No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in every country in Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl. And Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have to do. We need those machines.
Thank you, President Biden. President
It is
Trump,
with 20
again,
plus
the
million
question is
immigrants.
about
Yeah, dude, totally.
Americans in the throes of
How many
addiction right now,
undocumented
struggling
immigrants
to
have
get
you
the
actually
treatment they
encountered
need.
in your life?
Because this does pertain it to it. He
Most
ended
likely
remain
zero.
in Mexico.
Or if you knew
He
any,
ended catch
you
and
didn't even know that
release.
they were
I ended catch
undocumented.
and
Shut the
release
fuck
in
up.
Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say it's a hostage.
Dumb fucking chatters. Forget I live in literally California. What the fuck are you talking about? Undocumented immigrants are doing crime is such a funny fucking idiotic statement. There's only empirical evidence to suggest the exact opposite of that, by the way. It is a complete manifestation of your hysterical thoughts. You're fucking hallucinating.
By literally, as soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago, but Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it every time. We had 2 cases where we paid $6 billion for 5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
Let's turn to concerns that voters have about each of you. President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your 2nd term. How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the 2nd youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate.
That was 100 years ago, Joe. That was 100 years ago.
And a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look at what I've done. Look how I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought an awful lot of people. The whole idea of computer chips, we used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and to bring home a product. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States. And guess what? Those fabs, they call to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them. And there's billions, about $40 billion already being invested and being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans from all over the world.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The idea that somehow we are this failing country. I never heard a president talk like this before. We're the envy of the world. Name me a single major country president who wouldn't trade places with the United States of America for all our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us, all of our allies, and our those who he cuddles up to, from Kim Jong-un, he sends love letters to, and Putin, etc., they don't want to screw around with us.
Thank you. Former President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests.
Right now.
I took physical exams every year. And, you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced them. Dr. Ronnie Jackson.
He aced the cognitive test.
He was White House doctor.
I cleared
I took another one, a similar one. And one of them said they'd never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what you're. Anyway, just take a look at what he says.
He tried to dunk back. That didn't work.
Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him.
No.
I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And by the way,
they're so lame. They're so lame. This is like real. He hates it.
Do it.
That's the biggest lie. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was at 8
Oh, God, I want to die. Shoot me into the sun. Shoot me into the fucking sun right now.
Let's not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to turn.
Let's not act like children.
To a specific concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable?
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, statements you've ever seen, in addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation.
I believe we need an older candidate.
Because of him. His policies
How high can we go?
His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
You want a World War III, let him follow and win, and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want. There's a thing called Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all, and required response. The idea, I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done and what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful people. It's because of the people, not me. It's because of the American people. They're capable of anything, and they step up when they're needed. And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect the world because our own safety is at stake. And again, you want to have a war, just let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they move on, see what happens in Poland, Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a war.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might, Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden.
What?
They took no land,
okay.
nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this with? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia, because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old, all because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than I'm running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would
Until
be
he
very
realized he's
happy
going to
be
jail.
someplace else, in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Well, let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea, if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate, live from Georgia.
Bro, that was crazy.
Biden fat shamed him.
Oh yeah, I mean that was he tried. The problem is he fucking tried and he failed because he flubbed it when he's like, you're 6'5", 200, and like that was insane, brother. That was actually
a reference to such an obscure thing. It was like about how like he like said his weight when he got put in for like the conviction in Georgia was 215, which is like funny, but I haven't thought about that in like a year.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of bangers in there. Like the Alley Cat one was such a banger that they fucking laid that up and tweeted it alongside, you know, like how Kamala released their fucking merch drop in the primaries, like way back in the day. It's just like, dude, when
they pre-planned that.
Yeah, it was.
They were like, oh god.
Yeah, just like they pre-planned the fucking drink, where, like as though they were popping off. You know what I mean? As though Biden was gonna really show up tonight. I'm telling you right now. Here's a tweet from Kevin Barron. Okay, Christoph, Ed Luce, Ron Fournier, Nick Christoph. Seeing lots of columnists, veteran White House reporters, prominent liberals calling for Biden to drop out before the debate is halfway over and give someone else a chance. Remarkable. It took them this fucking long for them to come up with what like 60% of Americans had seen.
Now,
what?
I wrote an article about how like he was a risky pick in April of 2023.
Dude, even like, you know who also surprisingly was saying this, by the way, until it was far too late, like all the way until it was far too late and he shut the fuck up about it? Motherfucking David Axelrod. Like, even he was on CNN being like, yeah, we probably shouldn't do this, but what do I know? What the fuck do I know?
That just pissed Biden off, and because Biden is like beyond like being old and like incompetent and whatever, he's just a complete just like child about this type of stuff. He hates all the Obama people. Like, he thinks that they all tried to like end his career like to help Hillary. And so
to be fair, they did tell him not to run, and like we do know that was an error, because like if he had run back then, he would have won. So I think he just like kept that resentment going, and he never stopped. He never stopped with that resentment. And
he's like a Nixonian figure.
Yeah, and now we're stuck. Now we're just perma stuck in this situation, and holy shit, dude, this is so bad. Trump is, doing regular old Trump stuff, which might be unappealing, I think, as he's starting to like let loose a little bit. He was significantly more quote unquote presidential in the first half, and he's just like now he's just like memeing beyond. Like, if he kept it to light jabs every now and then, like he was doing in the first half of the session of the debate, if you can call it that, he would have looked a lot better. He just keeps planting the immigrants are responsible for everything thing into basically every fucking conversation. They'll be like, what about the opiates? Immigrants are bringing opiates. But what about child tax credits? Immigrants are eating the children, and that's why we will not have any, tax credits for children. There's no. What about child poverty? Immigrants are, bringing in children that are poor. Like, he just, everything's an immigrant.
Yeah, he does not fuck around about being racist. He does not play.
Yeah. And they're also doing the classic thing. Oh, wait, it's starting again. This has got to be like the final words, I suspect. I have to pee real quick.
Their closing statements as predetermined by a coin toss. We're going to begin with you, President Biden. You have 2 minutes.
I got to pee.
We've made significant progress from the debacle that was left by President Trump in his last term. We find ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I ask anyone out there in the audience, or anyone out watching this debate, do you think the tax system is fair? The fact is that I said nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes, and will not. And if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit. Number one, he's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years.
Is he fucking up?
Because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along. It's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credit people have for child care. I'm going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like, even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get, when you're terminally ill, now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former President Trump, President Biden. Stay with us because we have full analysis of this debate. Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett starts now on CNN.
What a nightmare, dude. Wow.
Oh.
What a fucking nightmare. What an absolute nightmare. Okay. That was... It's Jover. I mean, it is Jover, right? Can we say that? Is Jover? What are they doing?
Don't know. I mean, he could still win the Electoral College even if he loses the popular vote. But, like, God, that was not good. That was not good at all. I mean, if you want to, like, have a silver lining here, is that everybody already thinks he's just completely fucking out of it, and this only just, like, confirms that. But, like, Trump didn't really get caught up on any of his bad issues. He was completely unable to press any of, like, the things, like, even like abortion or January.
Look at Joe Biden trying to walk away. You see that?
Oh God.
He needs Jill to fucking like walk him.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
That's cool. It's yeah, I think that like the reason, like I said, the reason why they did this early was because they wanted people to see that he was virile. Okay?
Yeah.
That he was a stud. And he absolutely is not a fucking stud. He did not show up tonight.
Did you see that, like, they were leaking to the Wall Street Journal that he has a cold?
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
That's great. That definitely fixes it.
Yeah, thanks for telling us now.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't look like you were trying to desperately do PR as a last ditch effort. You know? Certainly.
Yeah. I guess there is a second debate in September.
He's not. Is he gonna survive? Is he gonna survive until September? Like he's dying. He's literally fucking dying in front of our eyes. He is a cadaver rotting. That was incredible. Like I personally think that this is going to have like CNN can try to spin this as hard as they want, but this was a unfathomable W for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Like not even a question, because everybody pays attention to the beginning of the debate, right? Like that's the most important part. And the beginning of the debate, Biden unironically performed worse. Because this was about like not even what Biden was saying, but how Biden was saying it. Yeah. And on the aesthetics front, he just he can't do anything. He just looks old. Like he looks like his face is kind of like, he's constantly got the old man face.
Yeah. It's not, I mean, he looked old in 2020, but he could at least like deliver a point. Like he couldn't, like he took like his best issue, abortion. Trump literally said that it was a good thing that Roe v. Wade was overturned. Like that's a layup. You've been begging for him to say that for like a year. And he couldn't press that. He brought up Laken Riley.
Yeah,
Why
that
would
was
you do
insane. He looked lost the entire time. Sources, by the way, look at the Chiron. Sources, Dem's concerned about Biden's performance tonight. It's so Jover.
That quick? Like 5 minutes? It took them that long to kind of tell what was going on?
Yeah. He also personally said the Border Patrol liked my bill like a fucking idiot. And the Border Patrol Union immediately came out and said, to be clear, we never have and never will endorse Biden. Like, What the fuck are the Democrats
He's been
thinking?
doing that constantly, and it hasn't worked. They announced that deal in December, and his numbers only improved after the conviction. The idea that he can like move to the right to solve his issues is just, there are people like who were swearing up and down before this that the issue here was like his FTC commissioner, like, and it's just, I mean, you can't Keir Starmer your way out of this. The issue is clearly the guy on stage.
Yeah. No, it's really, really bad. And it's really bad. And it's not like it's a layup for an average Democrat, not like a top performer. Dean Phillips could do a better job showing. Kamala Harris could do a better job showing up and demonstrating positions. Because like Donald Trump is sitting up there saying some of the most heinous, unimaginably insane shit. The problem is, when you lock yourself into the fucking, we are the party that is going to restrict immigration, though, you can't really do anything about it. You can't really
accepted his framing. They said he was right.
You cannot outflank your opponent on racism, on police brutality, and like, you know, doing more, funding the police more, like being tough on crime. You just cannot outflank the Republican Party on these issues. All you're doing is basically capitulating to their framing on the matter.
Yeah. I don't know how you could even like really argue like the Trump, because they've admitted that he was like saying, oh, on my second term, I'm going to shut down the border completely. I'm only halfway there. Like, what are you saying? Like, why did we elect you if Trump was right about this? What was the point?
Like the example I used before, and I will repeat it here because we have 100,000 plus people watching, is like, if in a hypothetical scenario, in an alternative universe where, you know, Bernie Sanders is running on Medicare for all, he became the fucking Democratic Party's actual presidential candidate, and he's going up against Donald Trump in 2016, and Donald Trump, being the populist that he is, turns around and says, actually, I think Bernie's right, Medicare for all is good. Do you think that that is going to cause people to go and vote for Donald Trump because he's the Medicare for all candidate? Or do you think more people are going to go, oh shit, even Trump is admitting it, well, I'm going to go with the Medicare for all guy?
Exactly.
Like, that's it. There's no world in which you turn around and go, you know what, actually, I want to vote for Biden because he's the border guy. No, you're going to go with the fucking border guy who's been talking about how rapist immigrants are, how they've invented new ways of doing rape for like the past fucking 8 years, you know? All you've now done is basically solidify his position as truth, even though the underlying evidence for it, the premises that this immigration conversation is derived from, is complete nonsense. It is made up, hysterical, schizophrenic hallucinations of some of the most racist Republicans you've ever seen. There are so many studies on this. For the first time ever, I heard NPR talk about this morning on The Issue Is or whatever, one of those fucking NPR shows, where they finally said it. They were like, yeah, immigration is a really tough issue for Biden. Also, simultaneously, immigration is a really tough issue for Biden. Also, there's no empirical evidence to suggest that immigrants are doing more crime than like natural-born U.S. citizens. As a matter of fact, there's only evidence to show that immigrants are responsible for less crime per capita than natural-born U.S. citizens. It took them this long to fucking say this.
It's not even true that they're bringing in fentanyl. Almost all fentanyl comes in through ports of entry, like legally. Would you know that if you listen to Biden? No.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like these are DHS numbers. 90% of all fentanyl trafficked over the border comes from regular points of entry. And who is actually the ones who are trafficking it? Not fucking undocumented migrants. It's Americans. It's like people who are less likely to be stopped and apprehended by Customs and Border Patrol. Those are the motherfuckers who are doing it. It's coming in shipping containers, and when it's coming with like individuals, it's coming in like American Honda Civics that are cut down with like white American dudes driving the Honda Civic because they're less likely to be fucking caught.
Yeah, Democrats used to say this like 5-6 years ago before Biden. They did push back against this stuff. They said the wall was stupid. They brought up that they said this, and the polling, they persuaded people. The wall was never popular. Immigration was never something Trump was actually good on. But they've had to construct these narratives about like how any issue Biden faces has to be something other than race. It has to be not race. I mean age. It has to be over like that he's too left-wing economically. It has to be that he's not pro-Israel enough. It has to be that he's not strong enough on immigration. They're throwing everything overboard so they can just avoid reality. And like something has got to give.
I know. It is really, really, really fucking frustrating. People are saying that MSNBC is in full panic mode right now. Like CNN, the Chiron is saying, sources, them saying we have a problem after Biden's performance tonight. And like, he's losing the New York Times columnist. Like I showed, like, dude, like Nicholas Kristof is talking about how he needs to fucking drop out and shit. Like, it's so Jover.
Yeah, it's just strange.
Like, Newswire from Politico. Democrats freak out over Biden's debate performance. Biden is toast.
Even Jeff Tetrick just said, "What the fuck did I just watch?" Jeff Tetrick isn't spinning it.
Yeah, it's so bad. It is so unimaginably bad, and it's like we've been there. We have been here for years at this point. So it's kind of shocking that they are finally fucking coming to that recognition as though like this is what it took. Like, I don't know what the fuck their expectation was. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. That was the worst aura from a president I've ever seen in my life. Bro, he's dead. There's no more aura. He's 1 HP. Okay? Yeah. Someone needs to throw him a fucking health potion, but he's not going to survive. You know what I mean? He's done. He's dead. Aaron Rupar's fucking tweeting about like, oh, well, seems like Biden was a little flustered here. It's so bad.
It's like the extent that like liberals have gone over the past year to just believe anything other than the fact that Biden might be too old. They have been willing to just say that Trump is popular. They've been willing to say that people want immigration restrictions. They've been willing to say that basically this country has no hope, and to live out this fantasy that Biden is the best candidate available. And it's how do you why do you even do that? Why would you want to believe that?
It's because the Democratic Party is secretly run by accelerationist MAGA communists. That's why.
Yes.
Jimmy Dore is actually taking over the Democratic Party, and they're like, how do we get Trump a second term? We put Biden back in there. Okay, we roll him out, definitely, and then ultimately, you will, with a certainty, you will have Donald Trump as president. It's phenomenal. Okay, let's go to Rachel Maddow. I want to hear what she has to say.
Just within a matter of moments. Lawrence, I also want to get your response. I think one of the interesting things that Alex said there was that some of the poor coherence and poor answers from Donald Trump are being viewed as standard Trump and therefore not newsworthy, while the performance from President Biden is being viewed as newsworthy because it came in below expectations.
Yeah, in any sort of normal universe, you would think the candidate who during the presidential debate said, "I didn't have sex with a porn star," was the loser of that debate. Yeah. That would be the normal scorecard. So let's just remember that so far, the only thing we've been concentrating on here is optics, that thing we call optics, and in this case also audio because of the aging voice of Joe Biden. But the question is that we don't know the answer to is voters out there who went into this debate thinking they're for Biden or they're for Trump or thinking whatever they were thinking. What in this debate of substance that was true?
Oh, dude.
Anything?
Dude.
No, they're saying it won't matter.
Dude, that doesn't matter. We're so far from substance, big dog. That only matters when you have a competent person who doesn't look fucking demented on stage.
Yeah, you're trying to pretend that this is anything other than the election that it is, it revolves
Which is how we got here. This is exactly how we got here, because the Democrats and those in positions of power and those in like liberal and left wing liberal media have literally been acting like what everyone can see, what all the fucking polling results show, regardless of their steady effort to make it seem like that's not the case, is, ringing every fucking alarm bell that Brandon looks like he's dying. Okay? You can't have Karine Jean-Pierre go up there in a press conference and keep saying it's AI that makes him look old. Okay? You can't do that.
Cope. It's insane cope. And I want to, just so people don't forget, in the Senate races, this year, Democrats are leading in every single competitive state. They're leading in Ohio and Montana. This is not the result. Trump's lead is not the result of Americans becoming more conservative. They are not conservative. They just don't want to vote for the fucking crypt keeper.
Abso-fucking-lutely, dude. Absolutely. It is unimaginable how badly they're fucking up. This is like, I mean, actually, it's not that unimaginable. This is exactly what happened with Hillary Clinton in 2016. Everyone was like, yo, she's unlikable. Yo, she's unlikable. She's gross. Everybody fucking hates her. People hate her so much. Democratic Party primary voters were willing to vote for a fucking socialist. That's how much they fucking hated her. And yet it didn't matter. They're like, no, everything's fine. Everything's fine. And then they lost.
At least she was polling ahead of Trump back then.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's that. You're right. At least she was performing better than Joe Biden. Oh my Lord. It is actually crazy. I don't know.
There was like I was just quickly reading this thing, and like some like Obama guy said, if this gets him to drop out, it was good. If it didn't, it's bad. It's just crazy that it took this to get to this point. This has been clear for a while now. It's like Ed and Eddie's been off the air for a minute.
What? Just now, John King on CNN says senior Democrat officials are now considering going to the White House to call on Biden to step down following tonight's debate. We have
Let's
a problem.
Go. They're marching on the Capitol.
Dude,
January
they're going to do a Bolivia-style coup. It's over. It's over. We're doing.
Let's go.
They're calling it the gayest coup of all time.
Oh my God. Whitmer head. the 18th premier Gretchen Whitmer.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, I'll take her. I'll take JB Pritzker. It don't matter. Just not gruesome Newsom.
Gruesome Gavin. This is what we've been waiting for.
I mean, gruesome Gavin would push us over the finish line at this point.
Remember that debate with DeSantis? He killed it. This is easy.
Dude, he'd just be like, I fucked your daughter-in-law. That's what he would say. He'd be like, yeah, don't. Hey, keep Melania and Ivanka away from me. You know what I'm saying? Shit might get heated. You know how I am. But it is, there is no way. There's just no way to fucking fix this. Oh yeah, Bernie Sanders is too old. That was, it's just, Bernie Sanders age-wise is old. Is older than, he's obviously older than Joe Biden. He's obviously older than Donald Trump. And yet he is way more coherent. Like, I don't think people understand, like, Joe Biden's mental faculties have fucking deteriorated, okay? It is so obvious. I can't believe they tried to do this, like, oh, he just has a stutter shit for the longest fucking time. Like, it was so crazy. Bro.
He did not have a stutter. Back in the day, he would talk. He was infamous for
David
talking
Axelrod,
constantly.
look at how wet he is. Why is he so wet? He's getting wetter by the moment.
No, Dave.
Oh my God, wait, what the fuck? What are they dousing him? Are they spraying him with water like a cat or something? What the fuck?
Moist Dave.
Dude, I've never seen someone so wet on camera. Yeah, we got to listen to what they have to say.
He
Hold
continued
on.
to pummel Joe Biden all night. I understand what you're saying. But at the end of the night, very few things about the policy exchanges is going to be remembered. People are going to remember Joe Biden. They're going to remember him shuffling out. They're going to remember him staring blankly into the camera. They're going to remember him looking down, losing his train of thought. And they're going to remember that everything I thought I knew, but the White House told me don't believe my own eyes, is actually true.
But that's not what I'm saying. What I said, Scott, was if Joe Biden were not the candidate, if there was another candidate, I think Donald Trump would be in deep trouble.
But if I may, that is such a sad state of affairs. Something I was consistently hearing is, what a bad debate in the sense that Donald Trump lied throughout. He misrepresented. He tried to turn away from key points that he should have given answers on and kept deflecting. With any normal, generic Democrat next to him, I don't think he would have won the night. But you put somebody who was suffering from the moment that they got out. It was hard to watch. I had to occasionally look away because it was so uncomfortable. I think America deserves better than the options that are in front of them. It's really devastating. And by the way, our allies are watching.
Yeah, look, I mean, the way that I
our allies are watching.
Less emotional is Biden stuttered, but he told the truth. He looked terrible. Those policies were good. Trump spoke plainly, but he lied the whole time. And he
doesn't matter.
But his policies were
Perception.
terrible. I mean, he's going to do nothing on climate change. He was hugging the cactus on abortion. I mean, his policies are terrible. So you have somebody who probably shouldn't be president, and you have somebody who cannot be president in terms of what Donald Trump represents. So we have a problem as a country now, and this might be an opportunity for people to come together and figure this out, because neither one of those people right now are inspiring the confidence that they should inspire, that they can do the job in a way
Maoist Van Jones, dude.
But young voters are
He's
up for
saying
grabs in this
cultural revolution
election.
now.
I don't know a voter
We're
under
back.
30 who would have watched tonight and could say, I have confidence
These are the
in
people
Joe
need to
Biden
get together
and casting my
and do a
vote
struggle
for 4 more
session.
years of Biden.
And this opens the door, by the way, for the conversation about if Joe Biden remains the candidate, you're not voting for Joe Biden.
Oh no, the spin
You are
room, they
voting for President
evacuated.
Kamala Harris. Let's be
They
honest.
evacuated the
That is
spin
where the
room?
Trump
No,
campaign is gonna go with
they're
this.
coming
They
in
started
now.
down this road with a
They had to
ad
do
they
a-
released today.
they had to get their
But
talking
this
points.
conversation about who you're actually casting your vote for,
Pure bunker
the
moment.
volume is going to ratchet up. And I got news for you. She's less popular than he is. That is going to be a big problem for the Democrats if this ticket stays the way it is.
Yeah, and a Scott's Democratic friend who maxed out, right? That's the sentiment you're going to hear, I think, from some of my Democratic friends who are texting me saying, "I can't believe this is where we are." Right?
Yeah.
I don't forgive. I can't. I'm not going to be able to forgive the party for putting in this position.
Look,
on the lies about on Donald Trump's
Dude,
lies.
I've never been more vindicated. It's the easiest lock, but like, Jesus Christ.
Me in the media, I sit in the chair and I fact check Trump all the time. So I know these lies by heart at this point. But people watching from home do not.
Fuck all these liberals.
Biden's job as the other person on the other side of the stage is to be the one to very quickly dispense with the lies and to shut them down. And I don't think that happened enough times in a coherent way to blunt the fact that Trump was taking a universe that was built on a house of lies and building a whole world for the millions of people watching.
Particularly on some of the most basic subject matters that President Biden should have been able to just...
That world that he was able to build, it was not knocked down by the president. That is really at the heart of the problem. He may have won when he was making his discrete policy points, but part of the job on the debate stage is dealing with an opponent like Donald Trump who goes like a mile a minute on things that are not true. And if you don't deal with that,
Abby.
I don't know. No one at home is doing that.
All I want to say is I'm not sure. I don't think you're giving viewers enough credit. I think what they saw was the Trump that they didn't like. And I don't think he did himself a great service to
but
yes, and I also think we should just. I also think
Kamala
we should
is about to
let
go
voters
live on
absorb this and
MSNBC.
see what they say, right? Let's look at the dials.
They're bringing out the big guns.
Let's look at where they are next week. We can make our pronouncements, but ultimately voters have to absorb
They're
it.
going to turn your mics off, guys.
Real quickly, on the one thing that that Biden did fact check him on the Charlottesville thing, he was completely wrong. Right, so he's up there talking about Charlottesville and Trump not denouncing the two sides, and Snopes was out last week. 7 months, 7 years too late kind of thing on the deal. And that's the thing Joe Biden's going to fact check him on, something that was proven false.
We're going to more with the panel out here. A lot of notable moments, painful moments from tonight. But as we've been talking about, perhaps a single defining one as well, this one early on.
Oh, God. What are they going to play? Oh, I thought they were going to play the fucking clip of him stuttering immediately. That is so bad. Oh no. Frank Luntz, after the first commercial break, I asked my focus group of undecided voters how many of them are more convinced to vote for Joe Biden. 0 raised their hands. Half of them say they voted for Biden in 2020.
Yo, he popped off.
Dude. Yeah, Jenkin, you were right on Thanksgiving. Yeah, we had this conversation very publicly multiple times at this point. And it's like, oh no. Unless Kamala Harris goes up there and is like magically no longer doing perks, instead is like, switch it up to like some uppers and decides to start talking about a fucking coup, like a people's revolution or something. The Democratic Party's chances are fucking absolutely cooked. Yeah. This is the Onion article. Onion.
It's going to be awesome when they win like the Texas Senate race and like lose fucking like New York to Trump.
Yeah. No, it is the most insane thing I've ever seen. You were bringing this up before we switched over to CNN, but like the Democratic Party down ballot is going to, for the first time ever, potentially carry the top of the ticket. That's not normal. That doesn't happen. Like they literally are outperforming. Dude, Democratic senators in their races right now are outperforming Joe Biden in Nevada, Arizona, and many other fucking states by like 10 points, sometimes 15 points. That is so insane.
It doesn't happen. People literally, like the people, like the really pro-Biden people are like, well, this literally can't happen. These numbers are too big. Well, maybe like it's not like that infeasible. Maybe there's something different about this one guy compared to like regular ass fucking Bob Casey or Jackie Rosen or whoever.
Someone in his focus group, in Franklin's focus group, said, "I don't even know if Biden can make it to November." I mean, yeah, me. I think that.
Even if like he drops out here, it's still so fucking embarrassing because he could have dropped out like at any point before this. It didn't have to get to this point.
Yep. No, it is every single day that is wasted is getting closer and closer to absolute bedlam. I mean, we're already there. Like, what are they going to do? I guess they can do like the convention, like they can change it up, old school style, you know?